welcome to another weekly update. Slightly chaotic place to be right now. There's stuff everywhere. It is Commsverse this week, so I'm kind of halfway through packing all the things for that and making sure we don't forget everything. It's going to be a fantastic couple of days at Commsverse. I'm very excited for some of the things that are happening, and so trying to put all that stuff together. We're also going on holiday relatively soon, so the kind of big pile of things that we need to take for that are all kind of stacking up as well. So yeah, it's good chaos everywhere. So sorry for not being outside. Sorry for, not having a more exciting pack drop. But that's the way it is. So let's talk about what's been happening this week. So a fairly significant change just happened. I did a blog post on it a few hours ago. It's around the privacy setting that is in Microsoft 365 right now to conceal identifiable information. So this has been around for a while. We talked about it last September. There's a toggle, a cross-tenant toggle to turn off like user identifiable data in reporting. So usage reporting. The big change is that this now also impacts groups. So the names of groups. So this will affect you if you just go like looking through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center reports and looking at usage of different groups. You won't really be able to do that anymore if your privacy settings are on. But it will also impact you if you write applications that do anything with this. So I've written up in the blog post what's impacted and what is not impacted, but the really big thing as well is that there's going to be an API call you can make to find out whether or not this privacy setting is set or not. So that's going to be a really big deal for all sorts of reporting software and ISVs and what have you that rely on that being set and need to know, or not being set, that privacy setting, and need to know if it does get turned on and what they need to do, such as like stop collecting that information or tell somebody that their reporting tools now can't report on group information, let's say, because the group names are now non-identifiable. So that's a big change. So that API is coming really soon. It's currently rolling out. I've got some details in the blog post about what it looks like and how you can use it. But we don't have all the details because there's no documentation for it yet either. So that's definitely one to watch. I will do another blog post just as soon as we get our hands on the documentation and we know that the API is kind of fully rolled out to everyone and accessible. Yeah, so that's a big one to be aware of. If you do reporting on that reporting, like do anything with the reports on that reporting endpoint in the API, just check over them to make sure you're not doing anything that requires like identifiable groups, and then also be ready for an API call you can make, not only to read but also to update. I should have said that, to update that setting as well. So you could conceptually have like an application that checks to see whether or not that setting is set and toggles it if it accidentally gets set from one way or the other away from what the application needs or wants. So yeah, that's a biggie. Other things that are happening this week. We talked a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I think, about a new SharePoint framework version 15, 1.15. That was when we talked about it a month ago. It was in preview. It's now in GA. So if you were looking at it and you've been waiting for it to go into GA to get it into your environment and start using it, that has now happened. It is now GA, so you can go and check it out. There's a whole blog post about it with all the features and the updates. And all the things that you can do. There's stuff in there for Viva connections, there's stuff in there for Teams, there's stuff in there for SharePoint. So, go and check all that out. That's cool. And then the other thing I want to tell you about is I think this is fairly new, or maybe it's just new to me, a way to nicely add a share to Teams button in your website, your third-party website that has nothing to do with Microsoft and nothing to do with Teams, but you might just want to have a share to Teams button in the same way you've got like a share to Twitter or share to LinkedIn. I've done this on my blog for a while, but it was a bit of a messy process to go through. And I can't remember his name now. There was a fantastic MVP who made a wrapper that made it a lot easier. I think the whole process is a lot more simple now. So there's a website, a web page in the Microsoft Docs that you can go to that tells you what to do. There's also a really good video, and the video is new. So I came across this page because I was looking for new things, and the video was the new thing, but actually the whole page was new to me. All about making easily sharing to Teams from a website. So if you run a website, if you have a website, even internal, this would be quite useful, I think, to have a share to teams button. It takes the URL, shares the URL out, but it's got some information as well about what meta information you should provide to do this so that teams can do a good job of link unfurling. It's the kind of standard Open Graph stuff. So it won't be a surprise if you already do social sharing buttons. I'm seeing this more and more actually of sites starting to embrace the share to teams. It's still like a really minimal number, but in our niche, like if you go to websites that are super specific around Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft Teams community, starting to see that share to Teams button show up alongside share to LinkedIn and share to Twitter and stuff. So it's cool. It makes sense. Like it makes sense to include it because people share links on Teams, so why not? There's a specific whilst we're talking about sharing to Teams, actually, if you're in education, we don't talk enough about education, but Teams has a whole education SKU, and the Teams experience is quite different for education actually, and there's lots of features for education that you don't see in the rest of the Teams product. So it's kind of instructive to turn it on sometimes or go into an education tenant and just see all the cool stuff that education have on Teams. All sorts of things about assignments and marking and classes and attendance and lots and lots of different things. But one of them is there's a special Teams, like a sharing button that will automatically create an assignment. So it's a special button that you set up in Teams. You can create it in the Teams client if you've got an education SKU that will kind of work. So that's worth looking at. If you're in education, go to that same page that I'm going to share because it's got some additional interesting stuff for education that kind of won't affect anyone else, and you won't be able to use it if you don't have an education SKU, even though it looks interesting. But for everyone else, there's the Share to Teams button, which you can use. So put it into your website, put it on your blogs, put it anywhere. Why not? Share to Teams. All right, I think that's everything for me. This week, let's talk about this week. So today is Monday. Tomorrow I will travel down for Commsverse. So I probably won't do a full video. I might do some LinkedIn shorts or something when I get there. It's going to be a bit sort of some setting up and stuff. And then Commsverse starts Wednesday. There'll be a keynote on Wednesday and then sessions all the way through Wednesday and then Thursday. So I'm doing some sessions on Wednesday. I'm doing a panel session for Microsoft Teams because Teams is 5. That's a celebration. So there's some really interesting people coming together from around this country and around Europe and around the world, including some friends from Seattle. We're all coming together in a big panel session to talk through the last 5 years. That's going to be really interesting. If you're at Commsverse, come to that session because it's going to be amazing. If you're not at Commsverse and you just cannot make it because of geography or time pressures or whatever, go get yourself a free on-demand virtual ticket and come and watch with us on the stream. That will be really fun. But if you can make it in person, make it in person because Commsverse, if you're going to make a conference this year, Commsverse is a really good one because the experience, the in-person experience at Commsverse is really hot. So that's happening. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing a session all about good design for building bots. So not super technical, but really about thinking about the design setup and user experience and all the rest of it around bots. So that's that. And then there'll be some stuff in the evening, I'm sure. And then sessions all through Thursday and then coming back Thursday and I'll be back here on Friday. So that's the plan. I'll try and do lots onto LinkedIn and Twitter probably, so you can catch up there. Other than that, it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a great week. The weather seems like it's holding, which is nice, which always makes things fun. We're going to Mercedes-Benz World. There's lots of cars. There's lots of good things to look at. It's a great venue. The food was brilliant last year, so I hope it'll be brilliant this year. But the kind of the people are really what make it, and so I'm really excited to kind of catch up with everyone again. It's been too long again, so it'd be great to catch up with people and find out what is going on in the world. All right, that's everything from me. I'm going to let you get on with your day. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. If you're at Commsverse, please come and say hello. It would be great to catch up with you, and I want to know what you've been doing in the last 3 years. I will see you again next time. Right, let's go pack.